Greater adequate.
That's not.
That's appropriate to accept. Appropriate. Appropriate. Coronavirus vaccine.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I'm glad
No.
I'm not growing up in this world. Be going out about the time.
Okay, we got it now, Ryan.
Good morning right there. Real good morning.
Everybody hear that?
Oh, we heard it.
I'm waiting on the signal. Okay, I'll call to order the October 4th regular meeting of the Haywood County Board of Commissioners. Our first order of business will be our Pledge of Allegiance, and after that I'm going to have Pastor Josh Frazier to come forward for our invocation. So everyone please stand for the pledge.
Let us pray. God in heaven, we thank you for another day to be able to be alive, to be able to serve and do things here in this life, to inevitably play out what we call life. We ask that you would give guidance and wisdom to all who are making decisions in our county. And again, as we always pray, we ask that you would just give us wisdom through all of this. We pray that you would just continue to allow us to live in this most beautiful place that I believe in all the earth here in Haywood, North Carolina. We pray that you would just allow us to be able to see many great things happen together as a community and a sense of family be here with all the people that are here. Give us, again, guidance and wisdom in all that we do. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Josh. Okay, our next order of business is public hearings, but we do not have any today. And then after that, our next order of business is our public comment session. Would anyone like to address the board this morning? Okay, seeing no one, I'll close the public comment period and move on to constituent concerns. And does anybody have any of those? Jennifer, do you have any this morning?
No, I think there's some folks that are still concerned about pickup, and Bryant may be able to just publicly say that just about debris pickup. I know that continues to be a concern. I got a call this morning about it, or text message about it this morning. So.
We still don't have approval for private property pickup. We've made that formal application to FEMA. We actually have a meeting later today, several meetings with FEMA later today, hoping to get an update. But right now, we only have authority to pick up from the right-of-way. And they're still making trips if they can reach it from the right-of-way.
I did see some improvement in Clyde this weekend. So sometime late last week, maybe they started going back and doing some more. So that was the only thing I had.
Okay. Kirk, do you have anything?
I had a few concerns come up over the last couple of weeks, but I've addressed those with the county manager and the 6th commissioner.
Okay. Brandon.
Same thing. I had several constituents that contacted me, and I've got with the county manager, and we've dealt with those. And then I continue to hear the same thing about debris pickup on private property. So hopefully we get that squared away before too long.
Basically, just the constituent concerns I've had over since the last meeting, again, is surrounding the flood events. Mainly private bridges and culverts, and I commend the county staff for keeping the county website updated with information from FEMA. And you know, some people are between a rock and a hard place on some bridges, private bridges, and I've tried to communicate to them the information that I have and how the county has put out information concerning those things. So I'd like to thank the county staff for keeping everybody informed on that, and I think North Carolina Emergency Management's going to be able to help us from our last meeting more with private bridges and culverts if FEMA can't complete.
Okay. When we say, Brian, when we say pick up on private property, if people have debris piled at the edge of the road, is that considered private property? Or if it's at the edge of the road right away, is that?
If their property adjoins a public road, we can pick it up as long as they can reach it with the boom. But
Okay.
we have lots of folks out on private roads that we don't have authority to drive on to pick up the debris. So
Okay. Well, that helps clear that up.
that's the big one. And I will mention Thursday evening at Haywood Community College, we have a mitigation meeting. State reps are going to be there hosting a town hall meeting. So I know we've been pushing that message out on our pages, but Thursday evening at 5:30 or 6:30, I'd have to check the time, but we're going to have state mitigation people in the county.
Okay, that'll help answer a lot of questions. That's good. Okay, and I do appreciate all the staff's hard work on the flood. You know, Brian, all the hard work that you've done, and Chris, and then I know our building inspectors have really been working overtime to help with people like that, and then and our EMS, I appreciate everything that they've done. And of course, our first responders at the fire department, appreciate them still continue to help out. Okay, we'll move on to administrative agency reports and presentations. And our first item is a report on the Urine occupancy tax numbers for Haywood County Tourism Development Authority. And we have Lynn Collins with our TDA director here this morning. Welcome, Lynn.
Good morning.
You have good news, looks like.
Yes, I do. So. The first report that you have in your packet is the 3% report. Just as a reminder, the occupancy tax is 4%, but that's broken down by the 3% and then the 1%, which goes back to the zip code areas where it's collected. So as you can see on this 3% report, tourism did have a very good year in Haywood this year. It certainly exceeded all of our expectations, both in our projected budget and in comparison to the previous year as well. So, moving on to the 1% report, this is broken down by zip code, and you have 3 columns for each zip code. You have the actual for 2021, you have the projected number, and then you have the actual from 1920. As you can see, all of the zip codes did very well. We're very happy to see that Lake Junaluska came back and their numbers grew stronger as the year progressed. But you can also see that some of these dramatically went up, and that's certainly based on percentage of budget and percentage of accommodations that they have in their area. So especially with the Maggie and Waynesville areas. The next report in your packet is, I like to show you this at least once a year, and this is the historical report from the occupancy tax from the very beginning. The blue column is when we collected 2%, and then the orange column is when we went to 3% collections, and the green column is the 4%. If you'll see the over on the right, you'll see the highlighted area. Those are the months when COVID first hit. And then on 2021, you will see that that's a dramatic difference in occupancy tax collections from year over year. We obviously have a substantial fund balance as a result of the good numbers, and so we are currently working on some provisions to be using some of that funding over the next year. So that announcement should come in the next couple of months as to what we will be doing with that money or how we will appropriate it. The next slide shows the projects that were funded through the 1% zip code funding. There were several other things that were awarded during this time frame. However, a lot of those got canceled or postponed. But these are the ones that actually did happen and were funded. So you can see for each zip code that people did make good use of the money that they had, and for all the projects that could be completed during that time frame. On the next sheet, this covers the 4% overall, and the pie charts are the important part on this sheet, and it shows you the percentage of gross room night sales breakdown. And really where you'll see the most difference on this is in the Lake Junaluska piece of the pie. You will see that they did lose some percentage throughout the year, but they're coming back once again very strong, and I expect them to pick that up in no time. The next sheet shows the accommodations broken down by category and the percentage for each month. Oops, let me go back one. As to where these people stayed. And as you can see overwhelmingly that vacation rentals was the most popular type of accommodation throughout the pandemic. People felt safe in being able to come here and stay in a vacation rental and be able to be in the outdoors. And it's interesting, this past year, we have seen a lot of new visitors coming from states that we don't normally have big visitation from. We had a huge influx from Texas. We've seen Colorado, California, Iowa, Louisiana, and those are states that we don't normally see a lot of visitation from. But that's also a good thing in that those are new folks who have come here and have fallen in love with the place, and hopefully they will come back to see us. Helps us to increase that market share. We always talk about the occupancy tax, but I think it's good to look at the total gross sales for accommodations. The next chart shows this month by month, and obviously you can see that July and October are the two biggest months, but all the other months look strong as well. We even had a great winter season this past year, and are looking at that for this next year as well, hopefully, if the weather cooperates. And then on the next slide, you have the gross sales by budget year, so you can see what a jump we had this past year in gross overnight sales of accommodations compared to previous years. The next report is what is called the STAR report, or the Smith Travel Research Report. This is a report that shows occupancy and average daily rate and other information for the hotel and motel segment. If you look at the top occupancy graph and look at February through December, you will see that most all of those are negative numbers. However, when you get to January of 2020, it starts ticking upward, and you can see March, April, and May are very good as opposed to the previous year. So it has taken some time for the hotel motels to get their market share back, but they are growing every month, and so that's looking better as well. The second column is the average daily rate, and if you look over on the column where it's year-to-date on the right-hand side of the page, you will see that in addition to the occupancy rate going up, their average daily rate has also gone up as well. The next report is the Air DNA report, and this is basically the same report, but this covers vacation rentals in the county. We have this report on a county-wide basis, and we also have it broken down by zip code. This one happens to be the county-wide basis. If you look at the total available listings, the top column on the left, you will see that last July we had 989 listings, whereas this July we had 1,262 listings. If you go down and look at the occupancy rate, you will see last year it was 79.8%, and this year it was 81.1%. So the occupancy rate wasn't that much higher. It's just a matter of having more inventory this year. There have been a lot of, as you know, real estate sales throughout, and a lot of those folks have chosen to purchase properties here and use them as vacation rentals, and so those have added to the inventory as well. And also, the average daily rate has gone from $211 up to $240 this year. So that has also contributed to some of the additional dollars. We did hire Granicus Host this year to look at our vacation rentals and identify them all and make sure that, you know, they were compliant and that we were collecting the money we should be collecting. And when we went into that program, we thought we had in the neighborhood of 1,200 rentals, and so the work that they have done over this past year has confirmed that that is right where we are. And obviously it fluctuates from month to month with whether or not the owners are coming in, or whether you know, they may take it off the market for a few months or something. But anyway, it averages in that 1,200 range every month. As you know, when I was here giving the mid-year report, I talked to you about how when the pandemic started, our agency stopped all advertising, and we slowly worked our way back into that. When we started back into that, we didn't immediately jump in and start inviting people to come. We just put our messaging out there so that we would still be top of mind with people when they were ready to travel again. As things continued to get better, the agency came up with a new campaign for us, and it is called Embrace Unusual. And on this first sheet, you'll see some of the digital advertising that was done. And it's been very popular and has resonated with folks, and that has continued to work well for us. And then on the next sheet, we have some examples of the print advertising that we have done over the past year. The section in the middle and the right is an example of something that the TDA did in conjunction with Maggie Valley and Waynesville. Maggie Valley and Waynesville both use a percentage of their 1% funding for destination marketing, so that they can market the overall experience in Maggie Valley and Waynesville separately from the TDA. But we do have some opportunities to co-op on some items, and this was a spread that was done in Our State magazine. So you'll see the TDA has the page in this middle section, and then Maggie and Waynesville split the page on the right-hand side. We also like to showcase in some of this some of the different things there are to do in Haywood County. The county section of this in the middle features a yurt accommodation down at Wildcat Ridge Farms, and then you will also see over here at the animals, that's Winchester Creek Farm. And this has proven to be very popular for us and has gotten a lot of exposure for us as well. And then on the left-hand side, you will see that that doesn't look like a traditional ad. It looks more like advertorial. It's kind of a story to go with the photo. And that's what most of our advertising looks like these days, as opposed to just having just a blanket ad out there. So with that being said, I will entertain any questions you might have.
Anybody have any questions? I will note that it looks like the vacation rentals have just taken over. I mean, as far as people coming here, I guess that's what they come here for, is to stay in a place. So, you know, I've been a commissioner for a number of years, and that's something that I've just now started noticing, you know, that the vacation rentals are a lot of the income for the TDA now, instead of just traditional hotels. It seems like that used to be what most of the money came from, but now it's vacation rentals. So are the hotels, are they seeing full or near full? I mean,
Yes. That has slowly ticked up, and once events started to happen again, that helped the hotels a lot in being able to have different events, and a lot of especially in Maggie, where the biggest inventory is.
Yeah.
We started having the motorcycle rallies and some car rallies and things like that. So that does fill up, the events do fill up the hotel motel section.
Anybody have any questions for Lynn?
I don't have any questions. This is the board that I serve on, and obviously our environment has made it easy, although difficult for some people going through the last couple of years. It hasn't been for Haywood County. I mean, this is an extremely strong report. Lynn's kind of playing it down a little bit, but it's extremely strong. I mean, just having, on the vacation rental side of it, which is, it's a good thing and a bad thing, it's increased over a year 373 units. So 373 entire places have been placed on the market since last year for places to visit and stay, and they're being occupied, and then the rates for the hotels and motels aren't going down while they're doing that. So that's one reason they're having tremendous increase. The other problem with that is the fact that, you take 373 homes and make them vacation rentals, all of a sudden you have 373 places that, and by the size and the location of some of these, they would not be rentals, but you're also taking those off the rental markets, so people don't have a place to rent on a monthly basis too. So it creates another issue. But given the fact that we have had COVID and travel restrictions, the report's really strong as far as the amount of money that's being brought in from visitors. One thing we did talk about briefly at the last meeting with TDA was the fact of the number of people that visit the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. I think it's over 14 million people
Yes.
a year visit the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And we spoke about, a few years ago, we utilized some monies to clear some of the vistas, because that's one of the things when I go up on the parkway and pull in and it says, this is an overlook, and I pull in and all I see is pine trees, then I'm a little disappointed in the fact that it's called an overlook, and that's because they spent a lot less money on maintaining those vistas, and they haven't employed as many people with the federal government. So I asked the board at that point in time, and I think this board should consider a way that we can participate in spending some money to clear those vistas, because it's kind of like taking care of some of, we take care of Evergreen when they need things. We take care of our big businesses and our hospitals and things like that, and that's just a huge economic driver. And so if we were to spend just a little bit of money to take care of those vistas and make sure that those people continue to return, it'll keep these numbers up.
Good idea.
We do have a meeting set up with the Parkway Superintendent to discuss this in a couple of weeks, so we'll bring a report back to you. Also, normally when I bring this report to you, I have the economic impact report that the State Tourism Office produces. They have gone to a new vendor this year, and so that report is late coming in. So as soon as we get that, I will bring that back to you so that you can see that as well, to see how many people are employed, how much tax is generated, sales tax and things like that, as well as the economic impact and the savings, tax savings for residents.
Just a question, Lynn. Those 300 and some houses that we gained this past year, is that homes that people bought to rent out, or was that actually rentals before that people's now doing short-term rentals on, or do you know the answer to that?
It's a combination. Some of it is new properties that have been purchased and put on the rental market, and some of it is just maybe people who have decided to get into that market to make some money, and then also just with some people purchasing homes that previously had not been a rental, but once it's purchased now it is a rental, so it's a combination.
You got any questions, Tommy? Anything? Tommy, you got any? Oh, okay. Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Lynn. It is a strong report. Kirk's exactly right about that. Our next item of agency reports will be introduction of new county employees. And Bryant, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through September 17th, we have 15 new employees to acknowledge. We have at the Sheriff's Office, Austin McClure, Heather Flores, Charles Gaddis, Annabelle Hall, Austin Davis, Tax Assessor, Diane Moll, Health and Human Services, Heather Leverett, Kane Teague, Deborah Hopkins, Sarah Ballou, Tracy Holland, Jennifer Caldwell, Abigail Clark. And in finance, we have Sheena Stevens and Denise Mill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, then I don't have any discussion or adjustment to the agenda. Does anybody have anything on that? Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Does any of the commissioners have any questions about anything on the consent agenda this morning? Okay, hearing that, I'll entertain a motion we approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion at all? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Anyone opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, we'll move on to our next order of business is a regular agenda, and the only item is the request approval of a resolution approving a building reuse grant for Premier Magnesia LLC as required by the North Carolina Department of Commerce, and approval for the county manager to execute the building and reuse agreement. We have our program administrator, David Francis, here to present that, and then also is Matt Haynes is here from the company. So I appreciate you coming out, Matt.
Good morning, Commissioners. As you know, recruiting new companies is a hard endeavor, and sometimes it takes months and even years, and a lot of times those end in a disappointment. Helping our existing businesses with the same kind of attention and enthusiasm is just as important as recruiting those businesses. Back earlier this year, County Manager Moorhead, C.C. Hips, President of the Chamber, we got to sit down with Matt about their idea of expanding their business here in Haywood County. And they were taking and I'll let Matt explain how the project is going to work. But this was something that we were enthusiastic and got behind and started working diligently with. We called our partners at the Department of Commerce. Our Asheville Chamber folks helped us as well get this rolling, and we worked with the state for over the past 9 months trying to get this to where we are today. And it is a roller coaster of a ride. And so we're happy to announce that this is happening here in Waynesville. I'll let Matt, again explain how that's going on. But as you all remember, we had a public hearing on May 19th under the name of Project Surrey. Project Surrey is Premier Magnesium and Giles Chemical. So just to remind you of what that we discussed at that public hearing is that Premier Magnesium will invest $12.8 million in a new facility with additional investments of $1.4 million. We'll create 43 new jobs in 3 years. If the company meets those benchmarks and want to expand more, the company will invest another $11.2 million and hire another 64 employees. So that's the business retention and expansion here locally. It's a good win for Waynesville, Haywood County, just as if we recruited a new business here. So as a part of this process with the state, Premier Magnesia applied for the North Carolina Rural Grants Building Reuse and Existing Business Grant. So what that grant does is give a grant to rehab an existing building in its use. So the new facility is going to be at 75 Giles Place. We're going to be using this grant to replace the roof at Lee Plant Road because those two facilities will be working with each other. Happy to announce that this will be part of that process is having this resolution for the Building and Reuse Grant Program. And so that's why we need to do this. The county is required to put up a 5% match. Our tax incentives certainly will meet that threshold to meet that for the state requirements and to also assist Premier Magnesia. So with that, if Matt would like to come up and explain, the process and what the new facility will be doing, and then I'll get back up here and we can take care of the resolution.
Hey, welcome, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. First off, I just wanted to start out, I'm here primarily today just to extend the gratitude on behalf of Premier Magnesia for the partnership that we have here in Haywood County, which we call our home, most specifically on your support for our current expansion plans in the area. Our expansion plans really center around the bulk manufacturing of Epsom salts. You're all probably familiar, we've had a bulk manufacturing facility on Commerce Street since 1950. That facility has reached its capacity. It is certainly space constrained from any further expansions. So the largest part of this plan is to construct a new bulk Epsom salt manufacturing facility at Giles Place, the old tannery, for those of you who might be familiar. The driver for our growth really has been the retail sector, and so that comes along with a repackaging operation. Our bulk operations produce Epsom salt to super sacks and 50-pound bags, but the U.S. consumer at Walmart or CVS or Walgreens buys it in 3-pound pouches, 4-pound pouches, 6-pound pouches. So we are also at the same time, as we are the largest Epsom salt producer in the United States, we're also the largest repackager of Epsom salts in the United States. The Lee Plant Road facility is focused on that activity. We transfer bulk Epsom salts to that facility, and there we repackage it into over 100 different retail SKUs. So that's kind of the story of our growth and our plan for expansion. With that, I'll open it up to any questions you might have.
How many employees do you have now, Matt?
I believe our June report was 271 in Haywood County.
Okay.
We're about 425 nationwide. Any other questions?
No, just a comment. I'd again like to thank you and your efforts here to increase our business sector in our community. So great to be a partner with you.
Well, we certainly appreciate your support, and we're very proud to call Haywood County our home. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to come up? Yeah, let CC come up as well, too.
Come on up, CC.
I wasn't prepared to say anything, but I will. So I just want to say that I appreciate all the hard work that has been done with this project. Like David said, it is a roller coaster ride. Sometimes it turns out to be a good ride and sometimes a bad ride. So this is actually a good ride, and thank you for your support on this project.
Okay, so as part of the requirements for the build-in reuse grant, we have to pass a resolution in our support of the building reuse grant that you have before you. Would you like that read in, or is it acceptable the way it is now, sir?
Yeah, I guess we ought to read it, don't we? Or what do you think, Bryant? For the sixth commissioner?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You'll have to do it.
Resolution approving building reuse grant for Premier Magnesia, LLC. Whereas Premier Magnesia, LLC, also known as Giles Chemical, proposes an expansion at its facility in Waynesville, North Carolina that will result in the creation of new full-time jobs and investment over the next 3 years. And whereas a portion of the proposed expenditures associated with the project are eligible through reimbursement through the Rural Grants Building Reuse existing business building. And whereas the proposed investment by the company will result in a net increase in property values. And whereas the Haywood County Economic Development Program will grant to Premier Magnesia, LLC, a total incentive of $220,000, consisting of $200,000 for the investment in job creation, $12,000 for paying above the county wage, and $8,000 providing more than 50% of the employee health insurance. All such funds being in the form of property tax incentive grant as described in the program documents. Now therefore be it resolved that the Haywood County Board of Commissioners supports this expansion of Premier Magnesia and authorizes the county manager to sign and execute the building and reuse agreement upon presentation of this agreement. Adopted this the 4th day of October 2021.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion. We approve the resolution.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion at all?
I don't have any discussion. I just want to thank Premier Magnesia for their support of our community as well. I mean, during times where other businesses may leave or shut down, you're expanding and continuing to employ Haywood County people, and that's really important. And we thank you for your interest. And we also know that you could have gone elsewhere, but chose to stay here in Haywood County, and we're very thankful for that.
Anybody else? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Matt. CC. Okay, our next order of business is appointments, but we do not have any. And then our next order of business will be our closed session, and we have 2 items. The first is economic development, which is General Statute 143, 381, 11A4, and closed session minutes, and that's General Statute 143, 318, 11A1. So I'll entertain a motion. We go into closed session.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, we'll be in closed session when we enter the chambers in the back.
That top enough for you today?
That's better.
That better?
I was worried. Yeah, it's pouring the rain. We were in that meeting.
Whole
in that
leg.
closed session.
I had surgery on it. It's stiff. On my knee, ACL.
Oh, when did you do that?
I just,
Okay, we've returned from closed session, and we have some minutes that we need to approve. So I'll just go down and read these. So we need a motion to approve and release the closed session minutes, which is from October 5th, 2020, General Statute 143, 318.11A1, and Personnel, General Statute 143, 318.11A6, from September 20th, 2021. So I'll entertain a motion we approve, a motion to approve and release the closed session minutes of those two.
So moved.
There's
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Next is the motion to approve but review for release at a later date. It's acquisition of real property, 143, 318.11A5 from June 7th, 2021, June 21, 2021, July 19, 2021. Next is attorney-client privilege, 143, 318.11A3, November 16th, 2020, March 15th, 2021, April 5th, 2021, August 16th, 2021. And then economic development, 143, 318.11A4, December 21, 2020, March 1, 2021, April 19, 2021, June 7, 2021, and June 21, 2021. And this is the motion to approve but review for later release at a later date. I'll entertain a motion for those.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, the next is the motion to approve but not release closed session minutes. It's under Personnel 143, 318.11A6 from June 7th, 2021 and September 20th, 2021. I'll entertain that a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. And then the last is to motion to release closed session minutes approved at previous meetings, and the attorney-client privilege, or what all these are, 143, 318.11A3. So it's from January 6, 2014, January 21, 2014, February 3rd, 2014, February 17th, 2014, March 3rd, 2014, March 17th, 2014, June 2nd, 2014, August 3rd, 2015, March 7th, 2016, May 2nd, 2016, July 18th, 2016, August 7th, 2017, August 21, 2017, August 3rd, 2017, and December 4th, 2017. And once again, this is a motion to release closed session minutes approved at previous meetings. I'll entertain that motion to approve.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. And that's all of those. Does anyone have any other further business for the board at this time? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. We adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. We're adjourned. Thank you.